My favorite memory of Mary is when we returned a dog from Boston to Easton, Pennsylvania, and it was thought to be a basset hound. And we left a note for Mary. We actually had returned it to the shelter, but we left a note for Mary that we had not returned it to the shelter and left it in her bedroom, and she screamed.
Hey, Grandma. It is your favorite grandson in the city of Chicago. Um, and the memory that comes to mind for me, or one of my favorite memories that I can think back to, is a simple one, but one that still holds a really special place in my heart. And that is when you came to my very last club soccer tournament before going out to college. Um, and it was a great game, and we ended up winning the tournament and all that fun stuff. But what was so special about it to me is that it really embodied just your support and your interest and your passion for my passions. And that meant the world to me then, and it still means the world to me in the many ways that you still do that and show up. So, love you, Grandma.
Hey, Mom, happy birthday. My favorite memory, or should I say memories, are the trips we took as an extended family. I still cannot believe that in my lifetime I've seen the pyramids, which were everything I imagined, and the Serengeti at dawn, which was just incredible. I can still see those giraffes lollying on the horizon, and swimming with penguins in the Galapagos, I still think is probably one of the most adorable experiences of my life. Thank you for
Two
that.
is my favorite memory from my parents and my mother, of course, in particular. And that's when the two of you, Mom and Dad, took us to Africa on a safari. And the great memory is the wonderment and amazement that the grandchildren had when they saw giraffes for the first time, and just the size and majesty of those animals. Then I have two quick stories to tell that I thought were just prized moments in my upbringing with Mom. The first thing was that we didn't have a lot of money, and our typical summer vacation involved a camping trip for a week to the Adirondacks and an overnight to the New Jersey seashore, where we would all crowd into a motel room at least 5 blocks from the beach, because they're a lot cheaper when you get away from the beach. And we were going there, and it was probably a July Saturday morning, and it was maybe an hour and a half drive from Pennsylvania to the Jersey Shore. And along the way, my dad was speeding, and a police officer pulled us over and gave us a speeding ticket. And we started back up on our way, and I could quietly hear my parents conferring. And then my mother turned to the three of us in the back seat and said, that ticket was our budget for the motel. This is now a day trip. Here's just one additional story about the thriftiness that my parents exhibited, particularly my mother. Now, my mother used to save on the clothing expenses for the family because she had a sewing machine and would get these patterns where she could, make clothing out of, these patterns and various fabrics. And I think I was maybe third or fourth grade when she got a pattern for making blue jeans for Roseanne and Vince and I. And she got this fabric, which was like a polyester faux denim, and had this sheen to it. And she got this pattern and sewed it. And the pattern, I think, was designed to be a little easier than most. And one of the ways that it was easier was that the zipper was actually placed on the side. So I want you to imagine showing up at elementary school, third, fourth grade, in shiny blue faux denim pants with a side zipper. I think you can imagine the results.
As far as one of my favorite memories, Michelle reminded me of a truly memorable Utah Jazz and Mexican food outing when it was actually the first time she met Mom. We all went out to a Mexican restaurant, which was a BYO tequila place, where we added our own tequila, and then did tequila shots before a Utah Jazz basketball game. And that game, the stadium there, the Salt Palace, was loud. But after our tequila shots, Mother actually fell asleep in the middle of the ball game. There it was, louder than all get out, and there Mom is sound asleep. That was pretty funny, a lot of fun. But Michelle said quite an initial introduction to the family, and also remembering a truly just mortified Mormon couple watching the gatherings at the Mexican food outing. That was really a kind of great memory Michelle reminded me of.
Happy birthday, Mary. Okay, when I think back about the things that really have endeared you to me, there are 3 things that I want to share. The first is that no matter where we were, whether it was heading to a soccer game or across the country at some beautiful site, I could always count on looking back and seeing you and Vince holding hands and holding each other's pace. Very sweet, very special. The other thing still amazes me that you could whip up the most fabulous 3, 4, and 5 course meals for the 8 of us before the kids arrived in that teeny tiny kitchen in Easton and deliver it to just the most beautifully set table. Those are some sweet, sweet, sweet memories in my life.
Favorite grandma memory? I mean, there's so many to choose from Easton to Chattanooga to so many different places that we've been so lucky that you've taken us to around the world. But one that really sticks out to me is the way that you and Grandpa came to my high school graduation. It was obviously an important day for me, but made so much more important by the fact that y'all came and we were able to share dinner, and it's just always something that I've appreciated. So happy birthday.
One of my favorite memories with Grandma is when we were little. Kate and I think it was just Kate and I, sorry Steve if you were there, went to stay with Grandma and Grandpa over the summer, and we had all sorts of fun staying at their house in Easton, playing in the yard, cooking dinner, but our favorite thing to do was obviously go to the Hershey factory. And that memory of being in the Hershey factory when I was like 8 or 10 years old is just implanted in my mind forever.
My favorite memory is the same as Meg's. It was getting to go to their Easton house. I also don't remember Steve being there, so our apologies if you were. But yeah, so our parents dropped us off there, and I just remember the feeling of the visit being such a feeling of adventure. And obviously, like that could be a sad moment to be around away from your parents from one of the first times, but Grandma and Grandpa just made it so fun. And the specific detail that I remember is they just had an epic cereal selection. So we'd wake up every morning and it started with like, what cereal are we gonna eat today? And then we got to do fun things like go to the Hershey factory. And it just, Grandma and Grandpa made the whole visit feel like one big adventure. So I remember that very, very fondly.
If I had to pick one favorite memory with you, it would be from our Galapagos Islands, Ecuador trip. There was one day up in the Andes Mountains where we got to do some horseback riding, and I remember being particularly struck by how graceful you were on a horse. But also just being here in Chattanooga, having you here, getting together to have brunch regularly and have you around for holidays has been really amazing. One thing I want to say to you is just how grateful I am for the experiences you and Grandpa have put together for us throughout the years. Whenever people ask me if I've done much traveling, I get to say yes, and I tell them the story of how my grandparents decided that they wanted to leave all of us with memories instead of money, and how every couple years they would get the whole family together and take us on a really amazing trip to a really exotic place. And I just want to tell you how much of an impact getting to travel has had kind of on my perspective, and also just how thankful I am for that time with all of these people that are here in this room. So thank you. And yeah, happy birthday. We're really happy to be here.
Mary, I think one of my favorite memories of you is getting to bring Ellie to you for the first time and her just attaching to you and wanting to play with your rollator and sit on your lap and go through your candy bowl. And I could tell she instantly formed a bond and took to you, which was really, really sweet.
And I can't come up with one specific memory, but I know that you've given all of us so many wonderful memories together. And I think that's what's most special, is that we've gotten to get to spend amazing time together all over the world, and it's because of you. And so we're very, very grateful for that.
So for my favorite memory with Grandmom, it was hard not to say the trips around the world, but to think outside of the box, something that comes to mind is when I was at Lehigh. Her and Grandpop would pick me up every month or so, and we'd go out to a Chinese buffet. And I do love Chinese buffets. That was a pastime of my father and I. It must run the family. But I really thought it was a great time to connect with the two of them, kind of give an update on my life, and got to know what was new in theirs. And it was just good to spend some quality time with them and know that I didn't have family too far away.
I think my earliest favorite memory of Grandmom was when the two of us went to a fancy tea when I was probably like 5 or 6. We were at the Trapp Family Lodge, and I remember getting peppermint tea and feeling very adult. And I also have enjoyed any time that I've seen Grandmom start a physical altercation with Jackson.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
It's Marie and Tony. I'm going to tell you a story. I remember meeting you the first time you came to Connecticut. My Uncle Vince brought you, and I remember that the two of you and Vince had no privacy. So in the evening, you sat in the bathroom on the tub at my mother and father's house, and that's where you had your little conversation. I never ever forgot that. That was the very first time that we were introduced to you. Anyway, she shared that with me many days later, I guess, so I didn't forget it. After that, my biggest thing was that I got to be the bridesmaid in your wedding, so I was really excited about it. And then I got to run around with that red dress on for like 2 days afterwards because we were just stuck in a blizzard.
Thank you. I remember most of those times, and I got in trouble a lot of times because I used to drink. And you know what that is, Mary, a drink.
But you also drank with my uncle.
But we all drank together. Though we had some wonderful times there, and
lots of Thanksgivings together.
Yep.
We still call that our special holiday.
Yes.
That's our holiday together.
All the way from Connecticut all the way down to Pennsylvania.
Anyway, I wish we could be together, but that's not possible. We love you, and have a happy birthday
And
celebration.
I know you will.
Aloha.
One thing that I've learned from Grandma is I think just the value of seeing the world, and learned this from Grandma and Grandpa, really. I just remember because we went to Kenya was the first place that we went that was really, really far away and just felt like so different than anything I've ever experienced. And then my parents were so generous and let me choose where we were going to go on our next kind of family vacation. And at the time, my mentality was just like, I just want to go somewhere that's like as different from what I know as possible, because this experience of going to Kenya just made me be like, the world is so big and I want to see so much of it. So I think that I've learned, kind of curiosity and adventure and wanting to see more of the world from Grandma.
Let's see. One of the things that I've learned from you or gotten from you is a love of reading. Even from an earliest age, I remember you taking me to the library and that I would get all these books and get to read them. And they've made such a difference in my life, and I so appreciate that. So thank you for that gift that we share.
And Grandmom has always told me that she feels strongly that a woman should know how to drink her coffee black. And I think that's good advice, and I can't do it yet, but one day, maybe.
What I most learned from you was attention to detail. And you were really a stickler for putting together arguments and sentences and paragraphs and papers that had the right grammar and syntax. And you really taught me how to put together an argument, either orally or on paper, of having an introduction, stating your hypothesis. The next few paragraphs were the evidence that pertained to this, and then you would have a conclusion. And I remember quite a number of times in junior high or high school where you went through papers before I could turn it into the teachers, and you always were a much harder taskmaster than my teachers ever were.
Something that I've learned from Grandma is just the value of family. She and Grandpa were always so excited when we came to visit, when we stopped through Easton on our way to Block Island. There are pictures of family everywhere in Easton, in Chattanooga, and all of the countless trips that have been organized so all of us could be together have just made us so close and given us memories that last a lifetime.
A lesson I've taken from Grandma is just to try and show up and be there for your community. And we saw that for ourselves firsthand as kids, and getting to spend quality time with Grandma and go on these big trips and have a great time as a family. But I've seen it also a lot in more recent years with how Grandma shows up for her retirement community, and both being the president and taking care of the library and making sure that everyone has someone to talk to, has a book to read. That's always stuck with me.
Mary, you traveled everywhere and brought back stories of places and peoples and experiences. What I learned from you is the world is a very big place, and that I should and your whole extended family should go experience it.
One thing I've learned from Grandmom is really the balance of living modestly in some aspects of life, but on the other hand, investing in others that bring either lifelong knowledge in areas such as education or experiences that you'll remember for a lifetime, such as traveling to different countries and experiencing different cultures.
And what she taught me was the value of family gatherings. She and Dad were very intentional at that.
Something that I have learned from Grandma, having both been on the receiving end of it and having seen it in action, is what it looks like to truly be generous. Grandma, whether it was the trips that you took us on as kids and those memories that we now get to take with us, and cultural experiences and all of that good stuff, or the support in our education journey. Grandma, your generosity has been instrumental in our lives, opening doors that wouldn't otherwise be open. And so thank you so much for your generosity throughout the years. It has had a huge impact on who I am today, and pretty safe to say who we are today as your grandkids.
Mom, if you have a superpower, it is Italian cooking. How is it that an Irish girl from North Philly is such a fabulous Italian cook? I can still think of those stuffed calamari, braciole, sauce, meatballs, all of those things were just fabulous.
The next topic, and Mom, your superpower is you have an excellent bullshit detector. You can smell a crafty salesperson or somebody that's kind of slippery with the best of them. And I remember quite a number of times you quickly surmising that a person that was trying to sell you something or wasn't going to be very good at taking a return, and your remark was typically, "Beans on you, buddy."
And if Grandma were a superhero, I think that she would be Ant-Man. Yeah, I do. Because she is small. And I don't know a lot about superheroes.
I think if Grandma had a superpower, I think it would be something around, like, I'm picturing like a Batman like figure where it's like, I haven't really seen Batman, but like standing up for the weak and kind of standing up for the less powerful. Yeah, I just think of whether it's like back in like union organizing days, or in her role as president of the nursing home and kind of always keeping an eye out for, like, is everyone being treated fairly within this community? And if not, like, I want to stand up for them. So I think standing up for the weak and powerless would be Grandma's superpower.
My mother's superpower, that would be perseverance. I think one thing that comes to mind, before she and Dad married, she went every Sunday for the better part of the year to my grandmother, who I never met, to her house to learn how to cook Italian food. And in this world, that would never happen, but she persevered. And I remember later in life when we used to have to clean our plates at dinner table. Sometimes Roseanne might not finish her plate, and Mother and Roseanne both demonstrated perseverance. Mother in saying she had to finish plate, and Roseanne not being exactly willing to do so. Those standoffs were actually legendary. Roseanne would sit there for hours at the table before whatever happened. So that was my mom's perseverance.
If Grandma was a superhero, I think her superpower would be the ability to sleep through anything and everything. I may be exposing myself here a little bit, but little does Grandma know that she and Grandpa actually hosted a very large party when I was in high school, when they were watching me while my parents were in Italy. And it was very impressive, their ability to sleep through the night despite probably 20 or 30 high school kids in the basement. So very impressed. It might actually be considered a superpower.
So if Grandma was a superhero, I think her superpower would be mind reading. I say this because we all know that Grandma loves some nice gossip. And as a mind reader, she wouldn't really have to dig and prod people to find it out. She would just use her superpower and figure it out herself.
You and I are the Irish people. We're holding down the fort here. The gift of gab is a classic Irish superpower, and you have it. You can talk most any topic for any length of time. So continue on with the gift of gab and go Irish.
If Grandma was a superhero, I'm going to say her power would be teleportation. I feel like just every time I talk to Grandma, I learn someplace else in the world she's been. A month or two ago, it was hearing about China and how she saw Mao's body just after Tiananmen Square. Yeah, just every time I'm like, whoa, you did this other wild thing.
If Grandma was a superhero, I think that her superpower would be something equivalent to a truth serum, where her presence would make the people around her instantly tell her the truth, spill all the tea, so that she could fuel all of her gossip needs.
birthday to Mary. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
We love you so much.
To Grandma.
I have had a wonderful, wonderful life with you as my aunt. And I can't believe how old you are going to be and how old I am. It's amazing to me. I loved every time that we were together and all the wonderful meals that you served to us on Cattell Street and at the other homes that you had. And all the times that we kept in touch while you and my uncle were traveling across the country. You always wrote to me and I could write back to you. So we kept in touch all those years and all those months. So I love you very much and I wish you a very, very happy 90th birthday. Have a wonderful time with your family.
Okay. Happy 90th birthday, Grandma. And a happy birthday from Sage. Nice.
Hey, Mom. Happy 90th birthday. Here you are surrounded by your children, your grandchildren, even your great-grandchildren. And you must be so proud of the legacy that you leave, which is what every parent wants and hopes for, is the legacy of a strong family and memories that last well beyond a lifetime. So thank you so much for that.
I'll just end by saying I love you. Thank you for all of the experiences that you've enabled us to have together and all of the opportunities that you've created in all of our lives. And I'm so happy that we all are getting to celebrate you together. Okay, love you, Grandma.
Mary, thank you for being you. Thank you for being a wonderful leader of this family. And thank you for inspiring all of us to lead great lives. You've been a wonderful role model for us.
Most was the very first time I met you. You taught me how to do tequila shots. So I'm going to do a tequila shot in honor of your 90th birthday. I think this is how you showed me to do it. A little salt, a little tequila, and some lime. Happy birthday, Mary.
Two last things I'd like to share. One is that I can only hope to have the energy and spunk that Grandma has when I am at the age of 90. And two, I am still wondering who ate the butter braid.
The only other thing I have to say is now that we're all back in Tennessee, I just want to reaffirm that Chris Viscomi did eat the butter braid and that there are indisputable facts that support that claim.
I'm here to say three things. The first is happy birthday, Grandma. You made it to 90. That's so cool. The second is that it's so impressive that you're still doing so much. You're so full of life at 90. And the third is that I'd like to second Jack's video, which I did watch, and say, yeah, we all know Chris ate the butter braid. And that's all. Happy birthday, Grandma, and sending you so much love.
A final note, and this is a very serious note, there is the long-standing and simmering controversy of the butter braid. Now, many of you have unfairly piled on me, and I've tried to take it as I should. But the truth of the matter is that I know the perpetrator, and the perpetrator was in his or her formative years, and a lot of reputational risk to be confronted with doing such a dastardly deed. And I felt as an adult and well established in my career that the best thing to do would be for me to shoulder the blame while necessary. However, this person has now reached adulthood and is well established in their own career, and it's no longer necessary for me to cover for this person. So I've come to let you all know that the true perpetrator of this dastardly eating of the butter braid was Jackson Viscomi.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Grandma. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Grandma. We love you.